to all the comic fans, Marvel geeks, and all the nerds in between. Welcome to another episode of Vigilante Vibes Podcast, where we talk all things Marvel along with other fandoms, but without the toxicity that's taken up way too much space in each and every fandom. I'm your host, Megan Nicole, and today we're here to have another episode of Elevating the Nerdy Voices of the Rainbow, where we lift up the voices of the LGBTQ plus communities. Today I have Stu, who's a fellow podcaster and an LGBTQ plus event runner. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't believe it's taken this long because we've talked back and forth for a while.
Sure, yeah, I'm really excited to be here. It's weird just because I think that we've got like a lot in common. So we've talked a lot over the course of like me being in your group, a fantastic group, by the way. Like the Facebook is incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really love your podcast. I think it's really nice, and it's actually quite nice to sort of have on in the background and just chill. It's really lovely. So yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. You said so many nice things. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? You're a podcaster. You're an event planner. You're a very busy guy. And you just took like a nerdy world tour, which I loved keeping up with.
Oh, so, I mean, technically it's more just like a kind of YouTube channel than a podcast now. So it's like I don't really sort of do the podcasting thing. It's I have been on podcasts for my friends. They run like a horror podcast. So I because of my YouTube channel and because the horror videos that have done quite well, they've had me on there. But my YouTube channel, so it's called StooToob because I'm not very original. So StooToob, and it kind of started with me just being a little bit bored and wanting to sort of boost my confidence a little bit in the pandemic. So I started gaming on there and then found that my brain doesn't really like to be limited to like doing one game at a time. So then I started doing almost like recommendation videos. So it was me just being like, here's 10 horror movies you've never heard of, or here's 10 found footage movies you've never heard of, or TV pilots that you didn't know existed, things like that. And then it kind of snowballed, and I was like, actually, I quite like doing this. It's quite nice. And it's helped by the fact that a lot of people on YouTube have given me the most amazing recommendations in the comments to watch. So it's kind of spurred me on to make more videos because people have been like, oh, you need to watch this, and then I end up putting them all in a little video. So it's helped me a lot. But the reason why that got set up is because, so for the past 8 years, I've run alternative queer events in Bristol in the UK where I live. So the events are called Punka, which is Punka, and it's named after a song from the 90s, which kind of fits the vibe of the events, basically. So I do anything from sort of cabaret, like drag and burlesque sort of shows with like, Ariel and all sorts of things, to live gigs, to like DJ sets and club nights, things like that. And they're all kind of with like an alternative spin. Just because in my city and in the community at large, there isn't a lot of sort of queer spaces for like alternative people that might like indie music or rock music or like punk or Riot Girl, things like that. So, especially not where I am anyway. So that's what I did. And the problem with the events is that the more you become the face of things, the more people can see you as the face of something, the more that they kind of want to hear from you as well. So people used to get me up on stage at the end to sort of talk about our next events, and I'd just be like, I don't want to say anything. So the YouTube kind of helped me in that way because it helped me like sort of get to know my voice a bit better and get to understand like everyone's there for the same reason. So you just kind of have to roll with it, and it's helped me a lot basically. So yeah, that's what I kind of do. But I've always been a massive nerd, as you can probably tell with and I've always been into comics ever since I was little. X-Men is what I grew up with. That's
yes,
it's the one that means a lot to me basically. And so for me, like seeing things like the X-Men movies, but also the the MCU and everything like that, it's meant so much because when I was younger, so I'm 43 now, and I've been out technically for like.
You're what?
I'm 43.
There's no way. No, like I would say 34
I will take that.
max.
Then from now on, I'm 34. So I'm
There it
34,
is.
and and I've been out for 10 years. So I came out a lot later in life just because of how things were in the 80s and 90s. It just wasn't very
Yeah.
nice to be a queer person, and in a very small town, that's quite scary. Um, as you know, I'm sure you've heard, and I'm sure that a lot of people can identify with. It's why we moved to big cities. It's just how it is. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, when I was young, people were sort of bullied and beaten up for like in comics and nerdy things. It was just really bizarre. So as I got older, I was like, well, I'm not going to change. I'm going to be doing the same thing as I always did. So yeah, it's funny now seeing it like the MCU and DC and stuff. They're all like the biggest franchises in the world. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell, I guess. Like yeah. I do like to keep myself busy, but that just kind of helps me not be insane. Um, yeah.
Yeah, you're very, very busy. My gosh, if planning events that okay, if I have to plan a birthday party for one of my kids once a year, I am done for the year. But you do it all the time and they have all these different themes. That's
Mm.
so cool.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, so at the beginning of the year, so like December, I always take December off. There's no point in doing events in December. No one's got any money, and most people are going to like staff Christmas parties and things like that. So there's no point. But then in January, I always think, oh, I've got nothing to do. Maybe no one will want to come to my events anymore. Like maybe, and then all of a sudden, in a couple of weeks, there's so much coming on, and basically loads of people just getting in touch saying, hey, I'm touring, can we put something together, or I want to do
Oh,
this event, and it just snowballs. So now I have one event per month booked up until November.
till November. It's February.
I
Oh
know.
my god.
So I've got like yeah, I've got a stage at Bristol Pride now, which is great. Just because of my events and the consistency and things like that, and because they've become quite popular, I guess. I now have that stage, which means a lot to me because it means that I could sort of elevate like parts of the sort of queer community that might not always be seen. So things like, alternative music and different kinds of musicians, basically, not just pop music. Let's put it that way. Um, and then I have like a big Halloween show every year. So that's always our big show where it's like almost kind of horror tinged, obviously, but we have like a big cabaret show, then a live band to headline, and then me and my friend Darcy DJ. Um,
Oh,
and then the final event of the year is the Buffy Ball. So we run a giant like Buffy club night, basically.
like Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Your life is so nerdy in so many ways. I love that.
Yeah, so Buffy's like my favorite show. It means a lot to me. It's helped me through a lot. It's like that. It's that comfort show. You probably have one. Like, do you have?
I have so many.
Really?
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, for a long time it was the original Dukes of Hazzard show. I don't know if you know what that is.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, where the General Lee, the Charger, very, very, very strange show to find comfort in, but now it's like The Office, How I Met Your Mother, like things that are more relatable.
Sure.
So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's like, yeah, sort of the sort of old school shows, but like Buffy was always a consistent one. I think that was because of the timing of it as well. Because when she was in high school, I was in high school. When she was in college, I was in college. She got, I
Oh,
got, so it,
you
it worked.
grew up with her,
Exactly.
literally.
Yeah, absolutely. She was a hero and she was someone that you looked up to, but also it was someone that, like, these characters were people that you were growing up alongside. And that's why it meant a lot to me at the time. So it's really lovely seeing people like finding the show now. Like, people are still finding it and understanding it. And, even though the special effects might not hold up, like the stories and the people still do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I mean, they're having the reboot too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Very. Yeah. I'm one of those people that's like, I'm not going to bash it until I see it. I'd rather just wait and then I'll see what's going on, and that's kind of what I do with my YouTube as well. Like I don't want to put out negativity. I would be rolling in money on YouTube if I just made hateful videos all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just how it.
Yeah.
But it's not what I want to do. I want to recommend things. I want to talk about things that I enjoy. I don't want to talk about things that I don't. So I want to wait until and see what happens. But it just makes me happy. And to be honest, I don't want to get political or anything. But in today's climate, like we probably need heroes like Buffy more than ever.
Yeah, that's been my whole thing about Sam Wilson. It's like we need a black Captain America and
Sure.
now more than ever.
Yeah,
And like that's not even being political. That's just stating facts at that point.
yeah, yeah. He did such a great job as well. I loved
My
Brave New
God.
World. Like I was, yeah, I'm
Right?
very happy with it. I think for me now, it's like it's still just such a like wondrous thing to see the MCU brought to life, to see these characters on the big screen. So even if it's like a sort of below par movie compared to some of the others, I'm still going to have a good time, and I'm not going to really bitch about it. I don't really understand people that are going and just be like, well, this is obviously going to be shit, and then do the whole like the MCU's back and oh it's screwed, it's back. It's like I've got no time for that anymore.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole hate watching thing. You're still
Mm,
paying to see it. But
yeah,
then there's people who go into the movie knowing damn well they are going to hate that movie.
sure.
They already know. They already said I don't like the characters, I don't like who plays them, I don't like that it's not Steve Rogers.
Mm.
I hate the movie. And it's like then don't watch.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, just
It's
watch.
so simple.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, just watch something else. I don't know. It's one of the things that it kind of worries me about fandom as well is that people do kind of rally together to like hate things, and I don't think people who enjoy things necessarily shout about it enough.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to, because they're already happy. They're already like, I loved this, so I'm just going to sit and watch it, you know. And it's weird to see people just get behind like hating something and disliking things and sort of basically like marinating in that toxicity, just really like enjoying the freedom to just be like, well, you hate this too, come and hate it too, like and just sort of doing that. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me.
It's like it's not toxic to hate something, but it is toxic to like try to hate something.
Yeah,
So, like with Captain America, everyone's like, "Oh, I hate it. I hate it because it's woke. It's not good enough. That's not my Captain America." And it's like, "Well, damn, he's my Captain America." Like just cuz what you're saying isn't factual. It's
yeah,
your all of your opinion. And if you don't like the movie, totally fine. There are movies I don't like.
sure.
But if you're going to go trash someone for liking the movie, then you have more problems than we're even talking about.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, for me, obviously, when we had the whole like the Marvels come out, loved that movie, absolutely,
Yeah.
and that's become like a comfort movie for me. And so whenever anyone was trashing it, I was like, I can't tell whether you're trashing it because you've seen it or you're trashing it because you just don't like it and like you don't like it visually. Like it, you know, these are three women who obviously of all different ethnicities and all different backgrounds, and they've come together and they've made like a movie that is just it's a comic book come to life. You can see it. It is, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like I don't know. I remember just sitting there in the cinema with like a beaming smile on my face, just being like, "This is so fun! Like it's making me feel
Yeah.
like really nice that this is just made for people who obviously love the characters, but also people that just want to have a good time." It's like, how could you not like that?
That's what I always said. I was like, I thought the movie was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say it was the best one
No,
because, like, not every movie is going to be endgame levels. It shouldn't be.
this is it.
But I will say, I haven't had that much fun in a theater in the longest time when I saw it. It was so much fun. The pacing was excellent. And also the cameos at the end in the post-credit scene.
Oh,
I feel like not enough people are talking about those.
yeah. That I mean, Beast looks perfect. Absolutely
100%.
perfect. And that's what I want to see. Like, obviously, we're coming towards the end of the multiverse saga now. It's been a hot mess, and I love it. That, but I don't mind. I've got like there's
Yeah.
things I enjoyed, there's things I would never watch again. Basically, like I didn't really enjoy Moon Knight that much. I'll probably never revisit it, but at the time,
What?
yeah,
Oh
I could. I didn't. I don't know what it was, but there was something about it that I was just not connecting. And as much as I love Oscar Isaac as well, I think he's a great actor.
yeah.
It was really strange that it just didn't get anywhere for me, and it was like I was kind of getting frustrated that I wasn't enjoying it. So
Well,
it took a
to
while
be
for me to watch.
fair, it was not. I don't think it was a good origin for Moon Knight
Mm.
himself, the comic character. I did really love the show. I liked how dark it was. I liked the characters. I liked all of it. But for Moon Knight, I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, come on now. But I get it. There's a few shows that I just did not connect with, like Hawkeye. I have tried. I watch it every Christmas. I try every Christmas, and I'm just like, I'm only watching for Yelena. Like,
See, I
I'm
love
sorry.
Hawkeye.
I just
love it.
I don't know. I could not connect with it, and I like Hawkeye. Kate Bishop, she's a little too fangirly for me,
Right. Okay.
but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like during the show, I was like, I don't remember my heartbeat raising. I don't remember saying, "Oh no, what's gonna happen?" It was just like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that was kind of me with Moon Knight, I think, and I think because a lot of the action was off screen, that kind of annoyed me as well.
Yeah,
That really, like, I kind of thought, well, it's not what I was promised in the trailers, really, and it wasn't kind of what I was after. I think there was just some kind of disconnect with it. Maybe the second series will be better because I didn't enjoy Loki season 1 as much as season 2.
same.
So I
Yeah,
just didn't connect with it, and then season 2 I was locked in, and I yeah, really,
yeah.
you know,
The first season, I was like, oh, this show just drags. I like, what are we doing? Who is Sylvie? Like, what are we doing here? And then by the end of the second one, I was like, where can I tattoo Loki on my body?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that ending was beautiful as well, stunning.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that. I mean, Hawkeye for me is perfect, like Christmas watching now. Like it's great, and I'm a fan of Kate Bishop because I like. Strangely enough, I was a big fan of the Avengers game that everyone hated. So, like, and I mean, everyone absolutely hated it, and I had the best
I've,
time. Um,
I've never met anyone that liked it.
I know. I don't care. I don't care.
It's awesome.
Me,
I love
me and
it.
my friends used to team up and play it online, and it like just didn't care that anyone else was, sort of getting on the board, and because there used to be a couple of Facebook groups that were just really strong and they were really nice, and everyone was sort of enjoying the game. But that was my first introduction to Kate Bishop. And even though she was
Okay.
like teleporting everywhere because she had like different sort of aim technology or whatever, I really enjoyed the character. I thought she was quite funny because she was so sassy and she wears purple. Love purple. So,
It's a good color.
exactly. And then when she turned up in the TV show, I was like, actually, no, I'm digging this version as well. So yeah, I enjoyed Hawkeye. I think. I'm most excited now for Daredevil, obviously,
Yes.
because those Netflix shows, I tell you, I have rewatched all of them multiple times. So
Same.
yeah, Jessica Jones, I need her back in my life. I miss her.
Yes. Yes.
I miss her so much, and like Jessica Jones was weird because it was a character I'd never heard of. But then when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I feel like this is made for me. There was music in it that I loved. Like they had sleigh bells and La Tigra and stuff like that. There was like stuff that I loved in there. And she was like an anti-hero, but just because she just didn't want to be a superhero. I was like, that's hilarious. Like, that's genius. So, yeah, I mean, did you watch like all of them as they were going on, basically, like when they were on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few I was pretty familiar with, like Daredevil, Luke Cage. I wasn't as familiar with Jessica Jones or Iron Fist because Iron Fist in the comics, if you're not aware of like exactly who he is confusing as hell. Because it's like, okay, so like you have powers. Oh, you're not Iron Fist. Now you have the powers of Iron Fist. Oh, now Luke Cage has the powers of Iron Fist, and
Right.
it's like, okay. Okay, great. We're just gonna politely ignore it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that was a strange one as well because obviously a lot of people had similar thoughts in terms of like the Iron Fist season one. They didn't like Iron Fist at all. Everyone was kind of getting on his case, and I thought season two was great. Like,
I liked them. I liked them
yeah,
both.
Typhoid Mary was great, and
Yeah.
I really liked some of the fight scenes in season two, and the fact that they brought back like Misty Knight and Colleen was amazing. So, the only problem was the fact that for me, obviously, Defenders didn't really hit the mark. So,
Yeah.
like that was a bit of a mess. But that I think that was just the sum of its parts. They just didn't know what to do with the fact that all these characters were so vastly different in all of their shows. And then yeah, just the way that they handled Elektra was a bit strange.
I think the Defenders, it was very, very obvious that they filmed Iron Fist and then immediately went into Defenders
Mm,
without kind of like, okay, let's regroup. Let's see what worked, what didn't. They're just like, let's get this done.
yeah,
Because it seemed like they knew something was coming to an end.
right.
Iron Fist, I liked. I don't like that he didn't take, the lead actor didn't take it seriously. I don't like that he did not practice the combative scenes. I
Sure.
don't like any of that. So if he does get brought into the MCU, I hope he takes it seriously. He sees what a big opportunity this is.
Yeah.
Luke Cage is amazing.
Yes.
Jessica Jones is amazing.
Yeah.
They're all amazing.
Yes. Yeah. I was very happy, and I mean, it gave us like John Berthnall as Punisher as well. So
Yes.
like incredible, absolutely incredible.
Perfect. A perfect Frank Castle.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that there's going to be some kind of like cameos or reveals or something at the end of Born Again. I think we haven't seen the last of some of the Netflix characters. Maybe Jessica will pop up at some point. I don't know. For me, I'd be very happy if She-Hulk turned up.
Yes. Okay. This is what I've been saying, and everyone disagrees. I'm like, it doesn't have to be She-Hulk.
No.
I want Jen.
Yeah.
I want Jen. I want him to like consult with her on a court case,
Yeah.
something like that. Because the backlash of She-Hulk, we gave up on her so fast, which is so rude. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you didn't like the show, you didn't like the show, but she's still a Marvel character. She's still a part of the MCU. The actress is a part of the MCU.
Yeah.
So she's gonna show up again at some point. She didn't do anything wrong.
No,
She
absolutely.
did it.
And
She did the damn thing.
exactly. And for me, I mean, it was such a fun and funny show. It was so like harmless and so like
Yeah.
so easy to watch. It was like 25 minutes an episode, and it was just something fun every week. Like I found myself really looking forward to it every week because I was like, I know I'm going to have a giggle. This is going to be so silly. And when it got to the end, I was like, I get the feeling I'm never going to see her again, and I already miss her. Um, and so it would be nice if Jen turned up. And I also that made me watch Orphan Black. So I also became
Okay.
a fan of her because of that. And I binged Orphan Black last year, and it blew my mind. Have you watched it?
I haven't. I want to, but I keep like things just keep popping up. Like Daredevil's coming, so I have to go through all of Daredevil. Oh, I'm stressed. I need a comfort show. Oh, this is coming. Oh, Brave New World's coming. You have to go through all the movies, and it's like I'm just stuck
No.
watching the same things over and over.
Yeah,
Which I like. It's so comforting. to
yeah.
do.
I think that was the thing. Like I while I was watching Orphan Black, I realized that I was a bit gutted that the show had sort of passed me by at the time, because I then found out that there was such a huge fan base and like a really sort of lovely, wholesome fan base around that show. That when I was sort of looking into it, I was like, oh, I wish I would have been part of that at the time. It seems really cute, but it was just like her acting was so good in that show that I was convinced that she was obviously playing multiple characters, but I was convinced that they were 8 different people, completely different people that just happened to share her face, because she was so good in every single role in all of the characters that she was playing. I think she ended up playing like 10 or 12 characters throughout all 4 seasons. And So each season, this sounds really silly, but each season there would be at least one scene where multiple clones of her would all interact at the same time. So it'd be one
Yeah.
really big scene, whether it's a dinner scene where they're all like passing each other things and talking over each other and moving around each other. And I just was sat there like, I can't figure out how they did this. It blows my mind, but I'm so happy that I don't know how they did it. Like it just felt so natural. It was so like it was fascinating. There's one scene where they all dance together in someone's front room and they sort of weave in
Aw.
and out of each other and just having a really lovely time. And I was just like, this is incredible. Like, why is no one still talking about this? So, so if you get a chance, like, I wholeheartedly recommend it. I was blown away. And especially if you liked her as Jen, she does bring a little bit of that to at least one of the characters, which is, yeah,
Aw.
it was good. But yeah, I want to see, like, I don't know. I want to see it pop up in Daredevil, but I also just want to see, like, yeah, how they're going to bring that Netflix universe back into the MCU.
Well, we did see the first of the reviews for Daredevil Born Again last night because they had the premiere, the press got to see the first two episodes.
Sure.
And it has been nothing but hundreds across the board.
Yeah.
It has been, everyone has said they nailed it. They brought back the Netflix vibe and more. They killed it. And it all goes back to, we wouldn't have this if Kevin Feige hadn't stepped in and revamped it all.
Sure.
That was the time where they said it's paused because we're doing revamping, and everyone said, "Oh, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be woke. It sucks." They don't have any faith in it, and it's like here we are now, and you naysayers are
Yeah.
awfully quiet. So why don't you guys just shut up and let things happen?
Yeah, I have to say, like, in Kevin Feige, we trust. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Like, the guy has so much passion for this, and you can see how hard he's trying to, create a universe that is encompassing everyone. I mean, look at, like, X-Men 97, look at Agatha All Along, look at, these absolute bangers that he's like, actually, I can see this working, and just gives it a shot. And you can tell that he's got a lot of love for, people like X-Men, but also the sort of shows like Daredevil, where he was just like, oh, this did it right, let's not mess with the system, let's make sure that it's the same. Yeah, in Kevin Feige, we trust.
Oh, are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened there. It just kind of stopped.
Yeah, it
But
cut out for a second.
But I completely agree. Like, we see Kevin Feige, we see him every premiere. He doesn't show his face often. He doesn't speak out ever, unless it's a very, like, certain interview that he's sure of, which I kind of like because I do like that James Gunn is so open and honest and will talk to fans and all that throughout the day. I don't know when the man sleeps personally, and it kind of makes me think he's a vampire.
Yeah.
That's okay. But Kevin Feige, he's doing so much. He's very much the opposite of James Gunn. And that's what I do like about those two is they are so different, but they are such geniuses.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Feige went into Daredevil, saw what they had already recorded, said, absolutely not, and fired the team. Like, he didn't just say, let's rework it. He was like, well, absolutely not. We're not doing this. Because according to a lot of sources, he didn't even get into his Daredevil suit until the 5th episode.
Right.
This was supposed to be a show focused on his lawyer career, which is like, that is wild. Why?
We don't want that. Like
We don't.
The thing about, I mean, even season 3, we didn't see him in his suit that much. It was always like it was Bullseye that was in his suit more than he was.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I loved season 3. Don't get me wrong, it was incredible. But I'm just like, we haven't seen him a lot as Daredevil in this show. Like, can we at least see that? So as soon as I started seeing him in the trailer, like suited up and looking great and everything, I was just like, yeah, we're back. This is it. Like, this is gonna be good.
I knew we were on the right track when I saw him in She-Hulk. I know a lot of people didn't like the yellow and red suit, and it wasn't a favorite of mine.
No.
But it was so comic accurate. And everyone said, "Oh, that's not how Daredevil is in that show." And it's like, yes, it is. The comics adapt so many different tones, and his acrobatic jumping around, doing all these flips, and just being funny. That's one of his tones.
Yeah.
And then we saw him in No Way Home, where he's just like I'm just a really good lawyer,
Mm,
And it's
yeah,
like, okay, we're getting somewhere here because that felt like Netflix vibes to me. And then we saw the first trailer and I was like, we're here. He's back. We're all in good hands.
exactly. And I mean, for me as well, Vincent D'Onofrio is probably the best Marvel villain. As much as I love like Thanos and everything, I think his portrayal of Kingpin is like it feels like an actual person, an actual character. It's like a completely sort of visualized version of like his voice has changed, his mannerisms are different. Like it's like no one that I've seen him play before. And so for me, that is Kingpin. I don't even see him anymore. I just see Fisk, and that it just like every time I see it, it just blows me away. So I can't wait to see what they've done to his character as well, because obviously we got to see him a lot in Echo. Um, but for me, like, there's never enough. There's never
No.
enough of him. Absolutely not. I need to
I
see him with
saw him.
Spider Man.
Yes. Yes. That's yes. I saw him at the premiere. I wasn't at the premiere. I saw a picture of the premiere.
Sure.
And Vincent D'Onofrio, not as Kingpin. And I was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah,
Oh, he has hair.
yeah,
He's not
yeah,
angry looking. He's smiling.
yeah.
Like I was like, who are you?
I know. I've seen them in interviews, and I'm like, "Who's this asshole?" And then I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I see." Like it's just,
I was like, silly Kingpin cosplaying as a normal guy.
yeah,
So funny.
yeah.
But I
He's
am
been in
curious
some
if there. He's been in what?
he's been in some great movies as well. Like he's been,
Has he really?
yeah, some really good ones. I mean, it's arguable that other people would call it a great movie, but have you ever seen The Cell with Jennifer Lopez?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
No, I'm not a big J Lo fan.
Right. So this was
Yeah.
I think it was like the early 2000s, and it's probably one of the most visually interesting, stunning movies you'll ever see. It's so
Oh.
incredibly crafted, and the way that they do like the costuming and the sets and everything, the whole point of the movie is that she goes into the mind of a serial killer to try and find his latest victim, who he's got like basically trapped, and is slowly going to die, and Vincent D'Onofrio is the serial killer. So it goes through all these different alterations of his character, but like in his own mind, and it goes through all of his trauma and everything like that. And to be fair, like she does a good job. I'm not a massive fan of her, but she's like entertaining enough in this movie. But it looks like nothing else. I've never seen a movie that looks like it since. It just looks incredible. And that was probably my first like introduction to him. And even then, I was just like, he's got something going. Like there's something about him that's just really like magnetic. So yeah, when he turned up as Kingpin, I was like, this is going to be interesting. And then you see him put all the weight on, and he obviously looks incredible now. He looks like he is the part. But yeah, he's been in some good stuff, really good stuff.
And he seems like such a nice guy. So it's like, how are you so nice, but you're able to act so mean? Like, I've never understood that. I'm like, I know you're a great actor, but like, this has to be coming like from somewhere.
Yeah, you're pulling it from somewhere, surely. But yeah, honestly, like, I think that's one thing that's going to be like the highlight of the year for me in terms of fandom. Like, just watching Daredevil all the way through it's going to be so good. But then I don't know how many episodes there are, but I know that I'm going to be wanting more.
I think it's 8.
That's not enough. That's not a series.
It never is. Remember, like the original Daredevil from Netflix had like 20 episodes a season. That's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And now it's the new thing to like only have 8 or 10 or like 6.
Yeah.
And then, dude, I'm just glad they're not releasing all of them like they did Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Right.
I did not like that. You're like 3 episodes here, 2 episodes here, 3 episodes here. And it's like, I want to feel each episode, like give me a week, let me get through it, and then give me more.
Yeah, I need time with it. I mean, I think that was the thing that I loved the most about Agatha all along, was that everyone talking about it. I was in group chats that were talking about it all the time, and it gave us like a week to sort of analyze everything and talk about everything and just like listen to the song on repeat.
Yes.
Like
such a banger.
Yeah, I mean, Ballad of the Witch's Road was like in my Spotify Wrapped quite high. Just just how it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I love that when you've got that sort of, I don't know, like it's a really old school thing, obviously, of having to wait for something each week and being at a specific time. And obviously, back in the day, we all used to have to huddle around the TV at a specific time. You couldn't just watch it whenever you wanted to. And it gave you that kind of thing of like, oh, I'm going to talk to my friends about this in school the next
Yeah.
day. And I think now that we've getting a little bit of that back, it's kind of helping the fandom a little bit, maybe, and giving us some a bit of time to sort of catch our breath and all watch everything at the same pace as well. And that's, I love that. It makes me very happy.
I do too. I think it makes each episode hit that much harder. And there are some shows it works for. Like Echo, they dropped all at once. And I actually liked that for Echo. It was minimal episodes. And I didn't want to wait per week to see more of that. I really liked Echo.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think everything is streaming now. Everything is on demand. We are so spoiled as a human beings. And now an episode comes out like at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is when it comes out. There you go. And we're all like, oh, I like when you tell me what to do.
Yeah. It's so forceful. It's out now, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, obviously it's great for you, but, because it sort of drops like at a reasonable time. I think for us it's like 3 a.m. or something like that. So.
I think this one, I think this one's going to be like 9 p.m. for me. But then like What If and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was 3 a.m. for me. And I was like, look, there's nothing in the world I'm staying up till 3 a.m. to watch.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. I do not care. Yeah. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would have stayed up for would have been X-Men 97. That was the only thing that I would... Because I couldn't...
Dude, I'm tired, man. I can't do it.
I couldn't wait. I honestly, every time... an episode dropped, I was like, drop everything, we're watching it right now kind of thing. It blew me away. And the more I watch it, the more like engrossed I get as well. The more I'm like, I rewatch it and I'm like, God, I like just looking at every frame and just being like, this is what I've always wanted,
Yeah, with X-Men 97, that became a little bit of a comfort show too, except, episode 5, because absolutely not.
No, absolutely not.
No, but I've watched it so many times. At some point, you just kind of have it on for background noise.
Yeah.
X-Men 97, I'd say it's probably the best thing that Marvel's Studios ever made, because it felt like it genuinely was made for the fans. It wasn't made to please any... My kid's crying. She'll be okay.
Oh.
She just recently found her voice because she's like 2 years old. So
I see. Yeah.
Everything is a scream now.
Right. I love that for her, to be honest with you.
I don't. I'll tell you right now, I don't like that at all. So I think it was one of the best things they've made. It was actually made for the fans. It wasn't, we want to do this. We want this for this show. We want this, and put it out for these people, for this group. This isn't only for comic fans. It felt like it was for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even just down to like the little cameos that it like Morph's cameos, like him, turning into so many people and just being like, this makes me happy because I can spot every single character that you've just turned into. And even though they're not in the show, it's nice that you've nodded like to certain ones in the fandom. And I think whatever goes on with season 2 and 3 and all that sort of drama, I'm so happy that we got just like a perfect season, like to start off kind of thing. It was so because you're a big X-Men fan too, aren't you? Like
I am. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I need to catch up. I'm still a little bit behind. I'm still trying to get through the Krakoa era, but like
so much. It's so much. I got through the fall of Krakoa, the fall of X, and by the end of it, I was like, I hate you, Marvel, because these comics, I was reading them as they were coming out because I was reviewing them.
Sure.
So they just kept coming. Like every week was like multiple, and you have to read every single one because they all cross over. They're all talking about the same thing. If you miss one, you're lost.
Right.
And at the end of it, I was like, I don't ever want to see another mutant again. I don't like these guys.
Yeah.
But then, like, From the Ashes is fantastic. Just phenomenal. And if you've never read a X-Men comic book in your life, it's not hard to just jump in right at the beginning from the Ashes.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't read any of that. Yeah, I've read the original From the Ashes, which was the Madeline Pryor sort of story years ago.
Maddie the Baddie.
Like, God bless her, the Goblin Queen.
I love her. I love her so much. She's so underrated. And I think she's going to come back in season 2 of X-Men 97 as a horseman for Apocalypse.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I get that feeling. I've got the original book of From the Ashes, like when it came out as a graphic novel kind of thing. So I still go back to that. And for me, I think, like, because X-Men was such a huge thing growing up and all the comics, I still reread a lot of the really old comics. So like God Loves Man Kills and Executioner's Song and things like that. Like I go back through those instead of buying new ones. So I think that's where I'm going wrong. So I'm like, I get so far behind because I just keep going back to the old stuff. Not on purpose, not like I'm sort of not impressed or not enjoying any of the new stuff, but I think it's just because they're so like well written and so comforting for me that it's like, this is quite nice to just go back to this specific team and this time sort of thing. Yeah, love it. Like I think they'll always be my favorites. So if they get brought into the MCU sooner rather than later, I would be very happy.
Yes, I think it's gonna be quite some time before we see Maddie the Baddie, but like I think Jean and Scott will be the first ones we see with Professor Xavier, who I think is a villain, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's allowed to be a villain. You know, we can have Cyclops is allowed to be a villain. They've all had their turn. You know.
They have, but I think Professor X is the one that brings the problems.
Yeah.
Consistently. And this is, like, I thought I was alone. I felt so invalidated for like the past few years. I'm not gonna say my whole life. Like it's not that deep. But and From the Ashes, you start to see that some of the X-Men feel the same way. Like Cyclops is like, I am not helping him.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. He's put us through way too much. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Your sexiness is showing right now.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. And that's what I
Rein it
like.
in a little bit.
I like. Yeah, I like it because it's like, this comic was written by someone. It was Gail Simone. She's amazing. But this was easily written by someone who has their own thoughts and opinions on the X-Men and the characters. And they put it in there. And I love that because you also have Rogue, who's like, he was our professor. He was everything to us. We have to help him. And it's like, there's always one of you, Rogue. Teacher's pet. Get out of here.
Yeah. And I like the fact that there's certain characters who are very much like you're training children, my dude. You're you're not always a good person. Yeah, you know.
No.
And the fact that obviously it came out years later that he'd sort of put so many like mental barriers in Jean's mind that she doesn't even know who she is anymore. So he's not a good guy. We can't pretend that he is. He just he just has some nice qualities.
Right. Like, he's just very polite when he talks, which makes you think he's a good guy. But in today's society, if you read the paper and heard about man finds kids at the mall, brings them to his house to live with him, and trains them to be his child army, you're like, wait a minute. This guy should be locked up.
Yeah,
he should
exactly.
be in jail.
Yeah, it's not.
But
like,
in the X-Men,
you'd read
but
that.
they're like, it's okay. They're mutants. They don't matter anyways. And it's like, whoa, my God.
Yeah, I think that there's so many sort of different layers. I think that's why I love those comics so much as well, because everyone has had their turn to be like an asshole, and everyone has got so much backstory. And like, it's funny from the outside where everyone's like, oh yeah, Wolverine's my favorite character, and it's like, well no, he's so overexposed and everyone else is so much more interested to me. that I rather sort of enjoy like looking through other people's stories and just seeing like the thing that I love about X-Men, I'll say this, is the boring drama. The like I love the interpersonal relationships, and I love reading it. Just I love seeing them like just round the dinner table. I don't know why. It's
Yes.
just it's like that for
It's
me. It's perfect.
relatable.
Yeah.
Like in X-Men 97, when you see them just chilling,
Mm.
just like they're making beignets in the kitchen, I was like, 10 out of 10,
Yeah.
no notes. Like in the comics where they're just hanging out, in the show where it's Jubilee's birthday and they're all just gathered around the table. I love that normalcy
Yes.
because we see so much action, we see so much excitement, but it's like it's nice to see, they're people too. They
Mm.
have personalities. They're so much more than their powers, and I love that.
Yeah. So there's a really tiny graphic novel that I've got. I've had it for years called X-Men Rarities. And
Oh,
it isn't one that I've seen around and no one really talks about it, but it is a series of short stories that is just that. It's just the mundane. And it's lovely. And I think like one of the stories is so the sort of big night where the sort of giant X Men, like the new sort of X Men, have come to the mansion. It's the first night where everything's calmed down and they're all kind of meeting each other, like the old and the new X Men are meeting each other, and everyone's just there for the first night in the mansion and just chilling. And it's really lovely. And then there's a Generation X short story where they all play volleyball in the courtyard, and Jubilee's
oh,
writing a letter to Wolverine to tell him that she's doing all right. Um, and it's just those stories to me. I'm just like that is like as much as I love all the action and all the like, sort of epicness and everything. Like those stories are what connects me with the characters a bit more, and just makes me think, oh, this is like it is a little sort of family, and these are real people that I'm sort of seeing a little bit more of their like actual lives instead of just their superhero lives. And I think, I mean, as a queer person as well, I think that is something that you kind of like to see in your superheroes because you want to see that they're, especially people who, like, the whole thing is obviously like a metaphor for, for
yeah.
marginalized people. We know this.
Hmm.
But it's, for me, it was like, as I was growing up, I really liked the fact that, these were people that obviously were born different, and couldn't help that they were born different and were hated for it. But also, most of them didn't wear masks. So
Yeah.
it was nice that they might have a code name, but most people know who they are, and they didn't hide who they were. And it was really like there was something really comforting about it, where I was like, well, these people are okay, and they are showing the world who they are, and still helping people, even though everyone kind of hates them for it. And it was, yeah, it was just kind of
Yeah.
like, I think as a queer person, there is something that just resonates with you. Like it's you can't help it. And that I think that's probably why it has like a really strong queer fan base, because of the fact that these are people that you can kind of look up to and be like, well, they're doing all right, and and the world knows who they are, so it must be all right somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you have to wake up and knowing that there's like 64 countries out there that would put you in jail or try and kill you. you know and it's a heavy sack to carry all the time. Throw that on your back and go out in the world. But I think that is something that you look for in media. Then you look for something that can show you that things are actually going to be all right, or that there's people out there that you can sort of relate to, if that makes sense. And that's
Yeah.
something that, um, for me at least, for the longest time, I think that was something that made me happy, because I knew that at some point I would have to come out later in life. Like I just didn't want to be. I didn't want to be miserable all of my life. But there was definitely like sort of people, like characters that helped me get there, if that makes sense. Like there's people that I looked up to in various different forms of media that made me sort of think, oh yeah, actually, like as long as I've got these people that I can have, whether it's to look up to or just to read about or just to kind of have like as a comfort kind of thing. I think I'm going to be all right. And it's definitely helped me. I mean, now obviously I've got an incredible chosen family and got an amazing life with all my like events, things like that. Wouldn't change it for the world, and I wouldn't be the person I am without having a lot of years where I was scared to be who I was. So it's that sort of weird multiverse dichotomy, isn't it? But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for like um, heroes who are unapologetically themselves, but also can be really mundane as well. Just because that is just as heroic to show people and just be like, actually, I'm just a normal person as well, and make them more relatable. Does that like I don't know whether you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something
Yeah.
that I love about the X-Men, especially.
You said so many beautiful things there. Like you made perfect sense all the way through. Like I it's cool to get this kind of insight cuz I'm a straight woman. Like there ain't nothing going on there. But like so I like seeing these different kind of perspectives, why you relate to them, what is it about them that draws you in, and everything you said was so valid and makes so much sense.
Yeah, I fully believe that there's like a lot of different sort of characters in fandoms that will help anyone come to terms with something. There's always something out there that's relatable, but I think for queer people, it's a really big thing to sort of find. They don't have to be even like queer characters, but like just someone that you relate to that makes you think, I'm not alone in this. Especially if you're in a small town, if you're somewhere where you can't be queer or trans or like gender non-conforming or anything like that. Sometimes like the most difficult thing is to step outside your fucking door. you know it is
Yeah.
like it's just and
Yeah.
that's like it's such a thing of like this is my this is my superhero outfit today you know
No.
and
Yeah.
and that is it has to be your armor. It has to be, because that's the only way you're going to survive, is just to be like, I'm just going to do the thing. I'm just going to go out there in my superhero suit, and whether that's like you trying to blend in or whether that's you trying to like stick out as much as you can. I think the fact that we've got these like heroes and characters that show us that it's okay, I reckon that's probably something that actually like helps us and fuels us to be able to like step outside the door and be like, okay, today I'm just going to do the thing, and
Yeah.
just be who I am. And that's that's something that I don't think we can really sort of underestimate anymore. Like especially in today's climate as well.
See, you just keep saying things that are just so nice. Like it's like this is what I like. This is like one of the reasons I made this series because like you're saying things that really, really probably resonate with a lot of people, and probably some things that people really do need to hear, especially nowadays.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. I mean, it's great that you've created this space for us, and it's nice to be able to sort of speak freely and just talk to someone about it. And I think the fact that there are people out there who are, you know, straight and probably don't have that many queer friends, or like even interact with that many queer people who are willing to listen. I think that's the most important thing. Just being like open and just being like, okay, this person is nothing like me, but we've probably got something in common, and even if we don't, their experience is valid, and I just want to listen and learn more. Like the more that we do that, the more that basically things are going to be easier on everyone else. Everyone's just going to be much happier if everyone's just like listening a bit more. And the fact that you've created these spaces, it's fantastic. I've really enjoyed this series so far, so I'm really happy that I got to be a part of it. To be honest, it's like it's such a lovely thing for me.
Well, I love that you came on. This has been so much fun. Like I love getting to know you because I've watched your videos. Your recommendation videos are my favorite.
Oh, thank you.
Because I don't know, and I'm just I like the same things I like. So your recommendation videos are so good.
Sure.
So please keep doing that. But you're welcome back anytime. I loved having you. You were so much fun. And I don't get to talk about X-Men a lot to people. Even though I have a Marvel podcast, it just doesn't happen a lot. So this was fantastic. Before we sign off here, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're in the UK and you want to come to any of my events, then you can go to the Punker pages on everything. So it's PUNKA, Punker Bristol, on like Facebook, Insta, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. Have our own Spotify official Pride playlist, which is crazy. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, they long story short, they got in touch in the pandemic in 2021 because a girl who used to come to my gigs, the punker shows, now works for Spotify in the UK, and she was given the task of basically putting together the Pride playlists for the UK. And so she got in touch with me, asked me if I'd want to make a playlist. So it's partly bands that we've either booked or were booking, and then the rest of the playlist is stuff that we play at the club nights. But yeah, it's like I've done so many crazy things because of these events, so it's like it's very cool for me. But yeah, punker stuff, lovely. If you want to follow it on socials, but also on YouTube it's StooToob, so STOOTOOB, and just like come and find me on YouTube and just recommend me stuff to watch, because I'm always in the market for like new horrors or sci-fi shows or anything like that. I try and mix things up. I know if I stuck to like one specific thing, I would probably be YouTube rich by now because of the algorithm. So if I stuck to like just horror movies or something like that, but my brain doesn't work like that. My brain is all over the place, so I like to mix it up and do lots of different things. So if you don't find one video that you like that's about like witchcraft or vampires or like those things, then you'll find another one that's about like music documentaries or me doing a stupid unboxing of something. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything, I'd like to think. But that's where you'll find me. Come and say hello on the YouTubes, because I would love that.
Yes, and whoever is listening or watching this episode, just look in the show notes and all of those links will be right there, so you can find Stu very easily, and you have no reason to not find him because it's very easy. So thank you for watching or listening to this new and improved Vigilante Vibes episode. Wherever you're listening to this episode, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of my amazing guests like Stu or any future episode. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a marvelous night.
Take care. Bye.